Hey everyone, Scott here, and today something quite different because it's just kind of weird and strange and unique and old and just wonderful for all those reasons, even though it's nothing I would take too seriously. It's Kirban's Prophecy New Testament. Includes Revelation visualized, King James Version, kind of, we'll get back to that. And it has over 400 photographs and charts, and we're going to look at a bunch of them. That's where our focus is going to be. This is not going to be really looking at something to say, oh, is this a good Bible study reference, or does this bring light to Scripture? No, because I don't really think it does. This is purely going to be entertainment. We're looking at something that's old and strange and comes out of that very 1970s Cold War prophecy, doom and gloom. What else do we want to say about this? Dispensationalist, pre-trib, Hal Lindsey, Thief in the Night, kind of, that's where this is coming from. That's the perspective. Salem Kirban is the author. He's the one behind this. And doesn't seem to be as well known today. It kind of forgotten about, honestly, compared to like Hal Lindsey, but had some success at the time with his writing. So just briefly, we'll look at in here. There's a picture of him. There he is on the bottom. So he was a journalist. He was in the Philadelphia area, not far from where I live. Did not see anything to indicate he's had any formal theological education, anything that would qualify him to comment on the Bible, but he wrote a book. Well, he wrote several books, but in 1970 he released 666, and that was quite successful. It sold 500,000 copies. That's very good, for a book. Now, it's not as much as Hal Lindsey's Late Great Planet Earth. That was like 28 million eventually, but for a while it seemed Kirban had some success and had some best-selling books. This Bible was done a few years later, in 1973. So we'll go ahead and start looking at it. Covered the previous owner's name just to be safe. One of the features it has is it highlights verses to indicate timelines and prophecy, and I don't give it any credence, so we're not going to pay any attention to this, but you can read it if you want. Honestly, all the highlighting and all these different colors makes reading it kind of difficult, so I just find it to be more of a hindrance than anything. I believe this was originally in independent publication, but we see this one is Moody Press edition of 1974, but it was originally copyright 1973 by Kirban himself. I had one years ago, and I believe that one was independent, but anyways. I mentioned, it's King James, but kind of not. Well, you see here, King James scripture text is from the New Scofield Reference Bible, copyright 1967, Oxford. Now, I did a video about the New Scofield Reference Edition not too long ago. I still have one right here. It's a King James, but it's slightly, lightly updated to modernize it. So there's words that are different, and I did confirm, yes, this Bible has that text, not, the just kind of plain King James version. And actually, with the Scofield, at least you get in the center column, it tells you what the original words were in the King James. This doesn't do that, so you just have the Scofield text without the notes indicating what was changed. Intro to the Prophecy New Testament. We've got some cool kind of space sort of artwork, and there's a bunch of introductory material we're not going to get into. There's just a lot of themes in here that are very fitting for the time and the fears and anxieties. There's just a lot about Israel and Palestine and war and world powers, material wealth, moral decay, Russia, China, Jews, Catholics. It's just kind of all over the place. There's a lot of images in here of war and some images of terrible atrocities, which I will not be showing in the video. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here that it is a bit gruesome in places. Here's an example of the highlighting in Matthew. That's not too bad. And you'll see more examples of that as we go through. And they have a little guide here for the highlighting. But what we're going to do is I've noted several images and things that I want to share, and we're just going to go through them, and because some of them are just downright entertaining. Here's one of the photos I used in creating the thumbnail for this video. We have this about American women spending over $2.5 billion annually to beautify their hair, and we have this woman kind of buried in money. On page 62, we have modern day Holy Communion. There's a young lady, it says wearing hot pants. Those actually don't look terribly short, but probably for the time that would have been maybe kind of short to wear in church. And it says they were dancing down the aisles after Holy Communion. On the opposite page, that's pretty scary, huh? We have supposedly a satanic baptism at the Church of Satan in Los Angeles. Though, as Mrs. TSB pointed out, looks like they're wearing Halloween costumes. I don't know how seriously I'd take that, but yeah, quite the photo. This is supposedly an image of a flying saucer a housewife in Oregon took. I kind of doubt it. And then on the opposite page, we have an artist's conception of the rapture. Some in your family may be left behind. Girl in trance as she listens to rock concerts. And specifically, it notes down here, she was listening to a rock concert by the Rolling Stones. People in such a condition can perform greater feats than they would normally be possible for them to do. For what it's worth, I've listened to the Rolling Stones. I have not been granted any powers by doing so. That's just me. Here we have a picture of a church supposedly under attack by armed men. Will this be a familiar scene in the tribulation period? Here he cites an article that predicted that by the year 2000, all girls would be inoculated against ovulation at age 10 and would need a baby license before they get a pill or shot that would temporarily allow fertility. Obviously, that has not happened. He also does not cite where he got that information from. Here's a chart that's in line with his concerns about material wealth and how Americans are continuing to gather more. And as he says here, an obsession with pleasures. I just found this interesting because really everything here I have in my household. The only thing I guess I don't have two TVs. I just have one, but I could have two. So here we see a housewife using a computer to look up recipe information. That's not too far off from a common scene in my own household. My wife often has a laptop in the kitchen to look up recipes, so I guess that happened. To realize we're approaching the last days, one has only to read the front page headlines of today's newspapers. And I guess these are some of the headlines he sees as signs that we are in the end times, and we're still here 50 years later. The martyrdom of Stephen by stoning. The day is closer when martyrdom will be a normal experience among Christians. Again, a lot of kind of, doom and gloom predictions about the near future. Here we have kind of common for the time among some is fear about Christian rock. Just very anti-rock sort of attitude. This is supposedly a Buddhist worship service for departed bowling pins, which it may well be. It was interesting, so I'm including it. Never heard of such a thing. an indication of the last days when women look like men and vice versa. The unisex fashion is a devious move by Satan to corrupt the sanctity of marriage. I don't know about you, gentlemen, but I don't see anything there that as a man I would wear. They look like they're dressed like women to me. To be fair, he doesn't just pick on the ladies. Here are the Beatles, and he takes issue with elements of their lifestyle and especially their long hair. 4-day work week is basis of new leisured society. Seems to be concerns that we're not going to work hard enough. Well, I can assure him 50 years later, hasn't happened. This is not a TV studio. It's a security room in a department store. Every department of the store is available through its TV snooper. These monitors have become a necessity in big city stores to discourage shoplifting. Such TV security devices could well be the all-seeing eye that the Antichrist uses to check on the loyalty of his subjects. That took a dark turn. More and more churches are slipping away from the message of the cross and becoming glorified sports centers and social clubs. More money spent on basketball courts and recreational facilities than missionary activity. Instead of a cross on their steeple, the illustration on the right would be more appropriate. That's actually a pretty fair criticism. I'm sure there are some churches we could easily say that for. This is why I'm just ignoring the whole highlighting thing. That is not pleasant to read. And it's just confusing. Now we're into the Revelation Explained section. There's a lot of photos here. I just show this one. This is a Burmese priestess culminating a pagan offering by kissing her god, a king cobra. It's one of the photos I used in the thumbnail. Earthly plans should not take precedence over making sure of one's heavenly inheritance. I agree. I'm not sure what the photo has to do with that. There's going to be way too many people in the year 2000. That's just a cool photo. The beast of Revelation 13 and the 11th horn of Daniel 7:20. Note all the blasphemy. We get more infographics in this section. Some of them I quite enjoy, just at least visually. They're quite striking, like this high cost of illness. To complete his blasphemy, it would not be surprising if Antichrist used churches as centers to apply the mark. It's not a very convincing photo. It looks like something from A Thief in the Night. Photograph shows how New York City earthquake may look. I actually don't think that's how it would look. This is a peace flag that was supposedly sold in the United States at the time. Not something I'd seen before. He goes after New York City quite a bit in the Revelation section, questioning if it's modern-day Babylon, etc. I think we can find elements of Babylon in our culture as a whole, not just in one specific urban area in the United States. Just another cool infographic. Another one that I used in the thumbnail. Then on the following page, we have this really cool photo. Armageddon, now peaceful, but soon a blood-soaked battleground. Here he has 3 views on the Millennium chart, which is pretty unfair to the views which are not pre-mill. To him, pre-mill is the teaching of the Bible. The others are unbiblical. I will give him credit, though. He notes at the bottom these positions have nothing to do with the salvation of a sinner, so he doesn't turn the views on the Millennium into a salvation issue. So, kudos. In hell, there will be no refreshing stream of water to cool parched lips. All right, well, that was quite a wild ride, wasn't it? Yeah, there's just a lot of odd stuff in here, and it just seems more than providing helps to read and understand the Bible, it seems to more so just reflect the fears and anxieties and concerns of the author. And, I don't think it's at all helpful. So, with that said, I want to say now I don't know Salem Kirban. I don't know any of his work outside of this. I did read a brief article. They were talking with some of his children about his work and things, and they didn't have anything bad to say about their dad. In fact, there's some stuff about his involvement in the community, and the point is, he might have been a real great guy, and he might have just. We all have our fears and anxieties and things that bother us and trouble us, and it's easy to look back 50 years and be like, oh, how silly or how ridiculous. We know so much better. And who knows what things we're worked up about that from 50 years from now, people look at us and go, why were you so upset about that? So I'm no better than him. I have my, if I made a Bible trying to predict the future or trying to tie current events to, it would be colored by my own concerns and fears. I'm not going to do that. Um, but, I just wanted to say here at the end, I don't want this to sound like it's a big attack on this man. He has a lot of wonderful photos in here of his children, and I haven't showed too many of those. But I wanted to end with this one. This is actually a really great photo. It's a lovely photo. His daughter holding a bird. The bird had its mouth open. It's well done, and I think it shows a real heart and love he had for the natural world, for his children, and I'm sure he had a real love and concern for Christ and for people to come to him. Even if I don't agree with some of the views he had or the way that he went about things. So, anyways, that's it. I hope you enjoyed seeing this. If you have anything you'd like to share, I invite you to do so in the comments below. Please give it a like if you did enjoy it. And as always, I invite you to subscribe if you'd like to see more old Bibles, old books, things that I pick up and what interests me. Thanks for watching. God bless, and we'll see you for the next one.